beaches in the Tampa area made worse by Tropical Storm Elsa last week, which pushed countless dead fish on shore.
Yeah, so crews have collected more than 15 tons of dead fish so far, but it's far from over. As a matter of fact, trying to put that into perspective for you, that's like 2 elephants. 15 tons there with a phenomenal stench, certainly with 15 tons of dead fish. To put this into perspective and find out what's going on, Dr. Tracy Finara joins us this morning to talk about it. Tracy, thanks for talking to us. Let's talk a little bit about, first of all, what is red tide? Let's remind our viewers, what is this?
Right, so there are thousands of species of phytoplankton, and over millennia, they've been responsible for most of the oxygen that we have today. But few species are toxic, meaning that they release a toxin that can harm aquatic life. Florida red tide, or the species Karenia brevis, is one of those species. But what makes it so unique is that the toxin not only harms aquatic life, but can also aerosolize, meaning that it attaches onto sea salt particles in the air, moves on shore, causes coughing and sneezing in people that are healthy. But for those with asthma or COPD, this can be really serious.
So what can actually clear this out? Because a lot of people were actually hoping that Elsa was going to improve this, but did Elsa actually do the complete opposite, it seems?
Yeah, so with Elsa, we had northern current movements, and then we had movements to the east, and Florida red tide moves with the currents. And if you're in Captiva right now, you're thinking that Elsa absolutely helped, because now we're not seeing those concentrations of Florida red tide down in Lee County. Now we are seeing them up in Tampa Bay. So basically what happened is movement of water and the bloom and all those dead fish north into the east brought all those dead fish inshore, but also brought the red tide bloom into Tampa Bay, where there's a physical boundary, and that bloom can't be flushed out. So that's where we're seeing the really high concentrations of Florida red tide.
So, Tracy, can you forecast the movement of that bloom? Do we know where it's going next?
So we have 3 to 5 day forecasts. So we have dyes, and we know exactly where the currents are going for the next 3 to 5 days. But at NOS, the National Ocean Service, we're working on putting together models so that we can forecast much further in advance to protect our coastal communities.
So who needs to watch out for this next, and should everyone stay out of the water that are on vacation in these areas?
Yeah, the best thing that you can do is check the beach conditions reporting system, visitbeaches.org, or the FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife red tide daily status. And both of those two information sources tell you either the concentration of Florida red tide or the conditions at the beach, if there's respiratory irritation, if there is dead fish, because these blooms are really patchy, they move. And so you really want to check that every single day, because from day to day that can change. Even during the day that can change. So
there's nothing really to, yeah, we appreciate that, Dr. Tracy Finara. There's nothing really to clean it out either in the near future.
No,
coming
we need
through.
another tropical system eventually to clean it out. Dr. Tracy Finara, thank you for talking to us this morning, certainly on that. All right, Tevin, what else is going on?
Long term here, in terms of the implications here, if we don't get this turned around, I mean, is this something that is this the new normal, or is this something we're just going to have to live with, or can we do something about it?
That's a great question, because we do get a bloom of Florida red tide every single year. And in fact, last year it was super late. And that's what we might see happening with climate change, is that these bloom seasons shifting. The only thing is that in laboratory studies, the species likes it between 65 and 86 degrees. And if our low temperatures are not reaching that below 65, it's quite possible that we have longer blooms like we've been seeing these past years. Now, that statistics isn't there to make those definitive statements. However, we are going to see some changes. So we do get a bloom every year, but yeah, the way that, it's been in the Tampa Bay is pretty bad right now.
And just one quick question, we only have like 30 seconds. Is there any kind of link to pollution, or is there anything else besides the environment and the weather?
That's a great question, because these blooms do start offshore at the ocean bottom, but with upwelling, they brought to the surface, brought onshore with winds. But that's where red tide really conquers in numbers. They get nutrients from surface water runoff, from groundwater. We saw the phosphate mine wastewater come in with tons of nutrients, and then we saw an increase in cells, because they can feed on many things. They're slow growers, but they're not picky.
So that's another way that humans can help, actually.
Yes,
cleaning things
absolutely.
up. Dr. Tracy Finara, thank you so much. Always good to have you on the show. And that's